Welcome back to BNG Hockey, where it's always black and gold. Let's get to my favorite trade of the day. This one was a shocker, and I am so glad the Bruins pulled the trigger on this move. The market this year was insane if you were a seller. Teams were just throwing around prospects and picks, and I really wanted the Bruins to get involved, and I'm so glad they did. I thought this was a player they saw as a future captain, a guy they always raved about, great guy in the room, and all of that is true about Carlo. He's a great guy, a heck of a defensive defenseman, but it was time to move on from this player. I've always felt that Carlo's value on the open market is way more than what he actually brings to your hockey team. I've tried to trade this guy in mock trades so many times, and it's finally happened. Brandon Carlo is going to the Toronto Maple Leafs of all teams. We know they've needed a defenseman for forever, and I'm not sure he's the guy they're looking for, but he looked pretty nice next to Morgan Riley. I gotta admit, that's a pretty solid pair, but by no means is he a number one defenseman, and he doesn't put them over the edge if you ask me. We are retaining 15% of the contract. I don't love that, but it's only $615K for next year and the year after that. We've had a lot of dead money from buyouts, so it really doesn't matter. It's less than $1 million. We'll barely even notice it's gone. And if that's going to be the small price we have to pay for what we got back, it is kind of worth it. We got Fraser Minten, which is one of Toronto's top prospects. It's probably their number 2 behind Easton Cowan, a first-round pick in 2026, top 5 protected, and a 2025 fourth-round pick. I was blown away by that package. Just the fact that we got a first-round pick for Carlo, never mind a top prospect, and another pick, I was really surprised. I knew this market was crazy, but it's nice to see the Bruins be able to feast on a team, especially the Leafs. One of the biggest things that I was always concerned about when it came to Brandon Carlo was his injury history. He's had a lot of concussions, a lot of injuries. He's a big guy, always looks kind of awkward when he falls down or takes a big hit, and I'm always scared that we're one injury away from him really losing his game. I do think he's slowly lost what he once was because of those injuries, and obviously he's getting a little bit older, so you're going to lose a step. He's not the most fleet of foot, but he's one of the best defensive defensemen you can find, and he's still only 28 years old. And with us retaining a little bit of his cap hit, he only makes $3.49 for the next 2 seasons. And with the cap going up, that's a really good cap hit for a top 4 right shot defenseman. So that's hard to find, and well done on the Leafs there, making the Bruins eat a little bit of that money. He's a 6'5" right shot defenseman, originally selected in the 2015 draft in the second round, 37th overall by Boston. He's been pretty steady Eddie for the Bruins for a long time now, playing in 617 NHL games, scoring 29 goals, 80 assists for 109 points. Obviously, putting up points is not what he's known for, but he can chip in every now and then. This year, like everybody else on the Bruins, hasn't been the best for him, especially statistically. In 63 games, he has a goal and 8 assists for a total of 9 points. I think he's been getting exposed a little bit, especially with guys like McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm being out. He's playing far too many minutes and makes a few mistakes that you expect a veteran like him to not make. So that's going to be frustrating for Leafs fans. Can't wait to see the Toronto media eat this guy alive as soon as he has one bad game, but I hope the best for Carlo. He really is an awesome guy, great guy to have in the room, a guy who knows how to win even though he hasn't gone all the way to a cup. He's been on quite a few really good playoff teams, so he'll be a nice addition to that group, and as I said before, I think he pairs perfectly with a guy like Morgan Riley. He played with Torrey Krug for a long time, so I think that's a pretty solid fit. Now let's talk about what the Bruins are getting, because it is awesome. Don Sweeney has done a fantastic job restocking the cupboard with draft picks after the Bruins spent them all those years buying at the deadline themselves. So it's been really nice to see him fill that up, because this team desperately needs draft picks for young talent and an injection of youth. But we also get that here by getting a legit prospect in Fraser Minten. I was shocked they included this guy in a trade. They were hyping him up all at the beginning of this season, wanting him to make the team. You know how Toronto is, always overhyping their guys, but it does sound like this guy's going to be a pretty legit NHL player. He's still got 2 more years on an incredibly low cap hit of $816K, so that's super exciting. He's a 6'2", 20-year-old left shot centerman, originally selected in the second round of the 2022 draft, 38th overall by Toronto. He's already snuck into some NHL games. This year in 15 games, he has 2 goals, 2 assists for a total of 4 points. His entire NHL career, he's played in 19 games with 2 goals, 2 assists for a total of 4 points. This year in the AHL, in 26 games, he has 6 goals, 7 assists for a total of 13 points. And his last WHL season, he played in 43 games, scoring 22 goals, 26 assists for a total of 48 points. At the draft, he was compared to a guy like William Karlsson. I think this is the closest we'll get, and here we go. I'm going to overhype this kid myself, just like Toronto did. Closest we're getting to the next Patrice Bergeron. It sounds like this guy is meant to be a center. He's great 2 ways, already knows so much about the game. Craig Berube was talking about how his knowledge for the game is there, doesn't have to teach him a whole lot. The guy just needs reps, and he was already talking in the room like a veteran and talking on the bench and knows the game really well. That's exciting to hear if you're a Bruins fan. This is a guy who plays in all situations, penalty kill, power play, still developing his skills overall and still filling out that 20-year-old frame. Now, Don Sweeney compared him to Charlie Coyle, which is a little less exciting than William Karlsson or Patrice Bergeron, but somewhere in the middle there, it's nice to know that this guy projects as a center. He is a centerman. He's going to stay at center. Of course, he could still play wing, but I'm so tired of the Bruins having centermen play wing. We need a legit center. This kid is a legit center prospect, and it's great that we got him in addition to a first-round pick and a fourth-round pick. Well done by Sweeney here. This Bruins roster is getting a lot younger, faster, more skilled, more fun to watch, and has a lot more upside. The future of the Boston Bruins is brighter than it's ever been, and we're finally building towards the next core, and this kid is going to be a big part of that. I'm proud of them for moving on from a guy like Brandon Carlo. That is really a surprise. That is not a very Bruins thing to do. I wish him all the best in Toronto, but somehow also don't wish the best for Toronto, so however that works out, you do the math. And I cannot wait till we are back in the playoffs. You know this kid is scoring Game 7 overtime winner against the Leafs, because what's more Maple Leafs than that? And it will be fantastic when this guy is our number 1 center next to David Pastrnak for many years to come. Let me know your thoughts. Were you surprised to see Carlo moved? I know Carlo was surprised himself. And what do you think of Fraser Minten and all these draft picks we're stocking up? Leave that down below in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big like, and if you haven't already, subscribe.